Welcome to Containerized Conversations, where we try to containerize our conversation. I'm Jesse Caffarelli.
And I'm Josh Warhurst. Thanks for tuning in as we dive into some of our favorite topics, one containerized thought at a time. Welcome to our water cooler. If you are just joining us, as you do, there's a water cooler over in the corner. We both just walked in here, and you can listen to our conversation. You can go to the fridge. You can grab something. You can, wash your hands, whatever you want to do. If you're just here to overhear the conversation and take a little break from work, then, hey, you do you. So, Jesse.
I love it. I love that intro.
We were just
We
talking about
left off on
books.
a cliffhanger. Yeah, a cliffhanger for the last episode. You gotta fill them back in. You were talking about Dorian Gray.
Yeah, so a friend of mine actually recommended me this book, right? A couple years
Yeah.
ago. He reads like 80 books a year, right?
Oh my
Something like
God.
that.
Okay.
So he's a prolific reader, right?
Wait.
He's one
I
of
want to know now, how many books do you read a year?
two.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I read.
I'm lucky if I get like, 4 in. I'm
Yeah.
like definitely at 3 or 4 max.
No, I read a lot, but it's mostly like news. It's
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Reddit. It's junk. I consume a
Yeah.
lot of video games. And a
Yeah.
lot of the video games that I do are
bad,
also a lot of reading, right?
bad for your brain. I don't know.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
don't read that many books, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I also listen to a lot of podcasts, right? I know some people that they say like,
There we
I
go.
read 5 books, I read 10 books this year, but they just listen to the podcast, which, from like,
Oh, you mean audiobook or podcast?
well, okay, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but some people
Yeah.
listen to audiobooks as a
Oh,
way
yeah.
of reading, right?
I mean, when I say read, I list, like, I don't think I've actually physically read a book in a while. Like, I do. When I say I've read a book, I've listened to a book.
So
I know people will
I
get mad by that, but
No, I think it's like, do you consider the physical act of
yeah.
reading or
Yeah.
the consumption of the story, right?
Yeah.
Or the consumption of the content. So I do personally think of the act of reading,
Yeah.
but like it doesn't matter. I don't really care, right? If you read books via audiobooks, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I think read is a weird word there.
It is. Yeah, it is a weird word. It really is, because people use it. What do they call it? Like, if they mean it, listen or read when they say read.
Yeah.
I don't think you say I listen to a book. Like, I guess you could, but it sounds kind of weird.
Historically, what I think is funny, right? I was a history major.
Okay.
Historically, like, before written content, everything was verbal, right?
That's
So
true.
people
Okay.
only got their stories verbally, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then they
But
eventually converted that.
did they say they read a book when someone told them it though?
No. Reading that, like, that concept didn't exist. But then they moved on and they
Yeah.
eventually started writing stuff down, and then the reading is
Yeah.
like consuming that content. But I think
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. It's almost like gone kind of full circle.
Yeah. Anyways, we're way sidetracked. What were we talking about?
So a friend of mine years ago, he reads like, again, 80 books a year, right?
Yeah.
Compared to my paltry like 2. He's
Yeah.
so I often ask him like, "Oh, this year, what was your favorite book?" Right?
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, he said Dorian Gray, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I was like, "What? That's like a high school book. Like, that's a
Yeah.
book that's like they read in class. Like, it can't be
High school
that
book.
good." I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I fell in love with like Kurt Vonnegut, right?
Yeah.
In high school. I think there was a lot of books I read during high school that I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But Picture of Dorian Gray was something that my friends made fun of. They're like, this book kind of sucks. And so I just always had this impression that it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And so when he said it was his favorite book of that year out of like the 80 books that he read, I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I gotta say, it's quite good. And it's quite good not for like necessarily the plot reasons. It's written
Yeah.
in like the late 1800s, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that can be off-putting to some people. Like, it's funny,
Yeah.
they refer to like, oh, like he got in the car, and you're like, ooh, the car? And you're like, no, wait, like it's a horse and carriage thing. Like, there's a lot of times where like the words are just
Yeah.
a little bit
I mean,
different than you think.
the only thing I know about Dorian Gray was from that movie there, with Sean Connery. Did you ever watch that one?
No.
Gosh, now I need to look up the name. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
Did you not see
Yes.
that? Did you have you saw
I've seen that.
that's
Yes.
Dorian Gray in it. Yeah, it's Dorian
See,
Gray's in it.
I think that movie had a lot of references that I didn't get at the time. You
Yeah.
know, there's, like, weird characters, and they're all, like, from something, but I didn't know because I think I watched that in, like, high school, right?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Anyways, the thing I'll say is, like, the picture of Dorian Gray, forget the plot, right?
yeah, yeah,
Which could be spoiled for you. I'm not gonna spoil it, right? But literally, like, every paragraph is, like, fun to read, right?
yeah.
And I say that as, like,
Is it because it's, so old, it has, like, a
I think
weird sound to it?
no, 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 like, the author was a poet first, and primarily a poet,
Oh,
and so
interesting. Okay.
every single paragraph, like, my brother, I talked to him, I was like, "Oh, yeah, so I was reading Dorian Gray and, like, I really liked it," and he's like, "I remember that book, but I don't remember why I liked it," is what he said to me, and I was like, "Well, let me just open to a random page and read something from it," and literally, I just chose, like, the page I was on, or maybe I flipped to a random page, and it was like he was like, "Oh, that's why I liked it," like, it just it's fun to read, and I think that's a case where, like, you don't wanna just, like, skip, right?
Yeah.
If you're there for the plot, like, maybe read a different book, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're there for, like, the actual, like, fun of, what the characters are saying and how they're
Yeah.
saying it, uh,
I see. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
and that's the thing is I do think, because like, an extreme example is William Shakespeare,
Mhm.
right? Like, he kind of, like, almost rhyme in his books too, and so,
Yeah.
like,
Iambic
you're
pentameter, right?
exactly,
The sort of
you're
structure.
trying to seem really smart here, aren't you?
No, that well,
No,
we
yeah.
we all went to high school, right?
But that's the thing is, like, you're kind of reading it to, like, get, like, the good feelings of the rhymes. It's like, if I'm gonna read a Dr. Seuss book, I'm not gonna read the first word and the last word, but, like, of course, I'm gonna
You're like, "Who cares about this fox and the box and the cat in the hat?" You know?
actually, you know what? There's definitely sometimes when you're reading, like, a Dr. Seuss book where he, like, kinda makes you feel like you're dumb because 'cause there's some words that you say in 2 different ways, like aunt or aunt,
Uh-huh.
right? And, like, you, like, stumble across which way to say it because 'cause you're trying to remember what was the last, like, ending word that he used, and which one
Uh-huh.
was he trying to use, and how
I like, that happens to me so much when I'm reading the word "red," actually, right?
Yeah,
So, I get so confused because "read" and "read" are both spelled the same way, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
one
yeah,
is past tense,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, sometimes you just have to know that it's past tense when
yeah,
you're reading it. You're
yeah,
like, "Oh," like, "He read the book," or well, "He read the book" doesn't make sense, but, like, "I read the book," or "I read the book."
yeah,
Are spelled
yeah,
the
yeah,
exact same way, but you don't know the tense until you know, like, the
yeah.
surrounding information. Anyways, the point is that happens with The Cat in the Hat and the Dr. Seuss books. I totally hear you on that one, where you're like,
So, fun fact, I actually was watching something on, like, YouTube Shorts or something, and somebody was like, "This is," like, they came up with, like, a new definition for a word because this word what happens for this word is so rare, it doesn't happen a lot. And
uh
it's when a word sounds different only when it's capitalized. So the example is like niece and nice. So when it's a capital N, it's
Sure,
actually Nice, as in like the
the
city.
city in France.
Yeah, or nice when it's lowercase, as in,
Yeah,
nice, nice
yeah.
weather. And there was another the reason why I remember this is because in the comments, there was another example, and it's a place in Massachusetts.
Oh, reading versus
Yes.
reading.
Versus breeding. Yeah,
Yep,
and everyone and they're like everyone piled in because apparently there's a sign that is you entering North Reading,
uh,
but they shortened north to no, so the
yep.
sign literally
No
reads "no
reading.
reading," and they just laughed about it, about how when they're crossing this line, you're not allowed to read anymore.
Yeah, no reading. Yeah, there's a place near us, right, that does, like I wanna say they're like a nail salon. right?
Yeah.
I'm actually not near us, but in like near my hometown. And the name of the place is Polish, but because it's capitalized, I'm like,
Polish.
Polish?
Yeah.
Do they have like, latkes and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I just love that kind of yeah, I've never thought about that as like a separate thing. I do know like the grammatical concept where like if it's a noun versus it's a verb, right?
yeah,
Think about like convict versus convict,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where even
yeah,
though it's said the same way, when you have
yeah,
it as a noun, you have the
yeah,
emphasis is on like the
yeah.
first part versus the last part. Anyways,
Well, we
um,
talked about this before about when I, started learning Japanese, and I'm, like, frustrated about how hard it is to learn, and you're like, "Well, you know what? English is, like, the hardest." Yeah, like, give me some
English
examples.
sucks.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like there's literally words that are just literally spelled the same, but
Yeah,
have,
and
like, different meanings.
I mean, how many native speakers are like, I can't pronounce Worcester or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah, no, that's, like, a whole separate thing. I don't know what's up with Massachusetts cities, but
well, and
they're
they're
like
all they're all from England, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
either they're from like native languages, right? Like
yeah,
Agawam, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or Winnipesaukee or whatever, right? I guess that's
Scituate.
fine.
I think Scituate
Yeah.
is, like, the one that gets everyone.
Yeah. But like, the other ones are from like England, right?
Yeah.
So it'll I had a friend from, actually my friend's husband, but he's from England, right?
Yeah,
And he's like, "Wait, Boston is to the east of
yeah.
Worcester? That's ridiculous," because of course, like, all the same names exist in England, they're just in different places, so it's
Oh,
kinda
I didn't
funny.
know. No, I didn't know that.
But he was from a place called, uh uh, gosh, I don't remember the name of the town, but we're like, "Oh, where is that in Massachusetts?" And we looked it up, and it was actually one of the towns that was flooded to make uh, the reservoir.
I did not even know that was, like, a thing.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, what's the reservoir in the middle of Massachusetts?
What?
Hold on.
I was gonna say the Boston Reservoir.
No, you know this thing, Quabbin Reservoir.
Oh, yes, that's I went fishing there.
Exactly. The Quabbin Reservoir originally flooded Enfield. Enfield was one of the towns.
I mean,
I'm looking
Enfield still exists.
well, anyways, he was from Enfield in England, and, he was like, "Where's
That's
Enfield, Massachusetts?" At the bottom of the Quabbin.
well, tying it back to a book, that just reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Mm. Another book that I know a lot about that I've never read.
Oh, man, you should read it. They blow up Earth to make way for a intergalactic highway.
I saw, like, the British movie version of it in, like, the
So good.
'80s. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that one.
I
I'm talking
really
about, like,
enjoyed it.
the '90s or 2000 one, which I think was still English. At least it has, like, a ton of English actors in it.
So, there's the version from 2005,
Yes, that one.
which
That's the one
which
I'm
you're
talking
talking
about.
about.
So you
Um,
haven't seen that one is what you're telling me right now? Because
uh
the actor for Zaphod
oh,
Beetlebrox is amazing in that one.
what I saw was the 1981 BBC television series.
Okay, so you haven't seen the movie.
I've never seen the movie.
You're missing out, man. The actor for Zaphod Beetlebrox is just absolutely insane. He plays the perfect Zaphod, and even Arthur Dent, like, they chose the perfect Arthur Dent,
Huh.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
funny when, like, a book is adapted to a movie, and you get, like, a whole subsection of people that are like, "That's not how I imagined it. That's
yeah,
wrong," and of course, the author, like, is totally fine with the movie. They're like, "Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's how I imagined it, and I wrote the book, so."
Yeah. I mean, I think Hitchhiker's Guide, they did a good job. Harry Potter, I definitely feel like they did a terrible job, right?
Yeah.
And, there's this argument that is like, did you read the book first or did you watch the movie first? And like,
Sure.
depending on which one you watch first, you're gonna think is better. But
Right.
for Harry Potter, I saw the movies first before I read the books. And I
Yep.
feel like reading the books made, like, so much more sense. The plot just made more sense to me. They just,
Yeah.
like they cut out so many things that
Well,
you're just like, "What?"
you know, I honestly, like, I probably read the first 3 or 4 Harry Potter books, and I was
Yeah.
in elementary school, right? So I don't
Yeah, yeah.
but recent like, in the past, like, 10 years, so recently,
Yeah, yeah.
I read it in Japanese, right? I read the first Harry Potter book in Japanese because I was like, "Oh, I'm
Okay.
kinda curious. This is a
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
like, for, children, right? I
Yeah,
should be able to read it." And I was like, "This book sucks." I was like, "I hate this book." And then I was, like, reading the English book again after reading the Japanese version. I was like,
yeah.
"No, this book's funny. This is like Roald Dahl, right? This is like
Oh,
a British
interesting.
sense of humor."
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually think,
So
like,
what,
the
is it just
first
translated badly or
I think that was translated very directly, and when you translate, you
Yeah.
can kinda go for 2 different things, right, which happens all the time.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
either go for, like, the exact meaning, or
Yeah.
you go for, like, the feeling, and the
Yeah.
feeling sometimes doesn't match the meaning, right?
Okay.
Like, for instance, you can think of the basic things like a pun doesn't work in a different language.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you kind of try to just tell them what's happening,
Yeah, yeah.
which isn't that funny, or do you
Yeah.
make a different pun that's actually funny that isn't
Yeah.
exactly the original author's, like, words, but it is kind of their intent,
Yeah, yeah.
right? There's things like that, right? But yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like I was like, "How did this book even catch on in Japan?" Because
Yeah, yeah.
whoever translated it, like, only cared about the story and didn't care
That's so
about,
great.
like, how fun it was, you know? So
That's funny.
but yeah, I that being said, I don't think I've read most in fact, I never watched, like, the last film or 2, so
Of
I'm
Harry
not
Potter? Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I'm not yeah.
Man.
I mean,
So one thing I will say is, audience members might fight me on this one, but Lord of the Rings, the movies was way better than the books.
100%,
And
100%.
my take on it is I'm not gonna read like 200 pages of a bunch of trees walking through the woods. I'm sorry, that is just you wanna talk about skipping things? I would skip 200 pages in that sense, because literally nothing happens except for them talking and walking with a bunch of tree I don't even know what the name of them are because 'cause I'm not that
Ents,
into it.
maybe?
It's yeah, ants, yeah, like, the tree people, like, you're not gonna get me to do that, and then another one is the Game of Thrones. Another one where I tried to read, and it's just, like, 100 pages of I don't know, it was like, Tyrion doing stuff in a village that had nothing to do with the storyline, and I'm just like, "Why did I just spend, 40 minutes reading this 100 pages?" And it literally has nothing to do with the plot. Like,
So
I'm sorry.
So, I definitely am in the camp of, like, s skip it if you don't like it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you really don't like it, just don't read it because there's so many things out there, right? If people
Yeah.
say, "I don't like books," you're like, "You haven't found the right book," right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee you there's a book out there that you like. But like, for instance, I liked Game of Thrones. I read
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the books.
So, okay.
I
So you
didn't
completely disagree with me on this
I
then.
didn't like the TV show because I was like, "You're
Wow.
missing all the important stuff. You're missing all the Tyrion walking through the village doing unimportant stuff," right? Like, I was like, "Come on."
Well, we know who you are. You like the, like, little details.
I
And
do.
clearly, I'm the type of person who, like, likes the, like, bigger picture of it all, like, I'm less about the details.
I can understand though where, like, if you are deciding right now if you're I think Dorian Gray though, coming back full
Yeah.
circle,
Yeah, full circle, I love it.
Dorian Gray is a short enough book that
Yeah.
you can read it intensely
Yeah.
and get something out of it. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that you like it, right? And in
Yeah.
fact, I would say if you read like 50 pages and you don't
Yeah.
like it at that point, you should
Yeah.
probably just stop, right?
It's just don't even it doesn't get better. It is the same through the whole book.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the same through the whole book, but like the thing that you're getting out of it is,
Yeah.
whereas like you can read a lot of fantasy.
Yeah.
I remember reading the Brandon Sanderson the Way of
Way of
Kings.
Kings?
Yeah.
Man, such a good book.
Yeah, but in the first 50 pages, I was like, I've read a lot of fantasy and I have no idea what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is like, oh, you're here to like absorb, you have to kind of
Yeah.
understand the world and eventually this opening scene, which I can imagine totally in my head right now, makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But the moment that you're reading that, like you just kind of
Yeah.
have to trust that it's going to get better, right?
Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings is a perfect example of a book where I had to skip literal paragraphs There was no way I was getting through that book, but the book was so good because the good parts were so, so good.
Yeah.
And it's just like he has and you're right, he like Brandon Sanderson does a really good job of building a world and all that stuff, and it's just like, I wish I could get an abridged version of his writing that has less world building, right? Like, I wish you could choose, like, when you go maybe this is an idea for authors, maybe I'm,
No,
like, about to a breakaway. Like, I feel like Brandon Sanderson should come out with a like, I haven't read Mistborn.
the
I've
the Cliff
tried.
Notes version.
Like, yeah, I wish he would come out with an abridged version that, like, removes some of, like, the intricate details of the world building so that it just gets straight to the
So
plot-driven parts, and
there's
I bet you I would love it. I bet you I would love his series if he did
I
that.
don't know, like, high level, I just wanna say I have this argument with video games all the time. There are some
Yeah,
video games that I play that are like 2 hours long that were the best things in my life.
yeah,
And there are ones that I play for like 60 hours and I was like, that was
yeah,
okay. Right? Why do I do any of the ones that's 60 hours where I like spent all this time when
yeah,
I could have just gotten the short version, and part of that is because it is a different experience, right?
yeah,
Way of Kings as a shorter book to me, like part of Way of Kings, if you haven't read it, but
yeah,
is like for some of the characters, it's like it's them existing in this world. It's them
yeah,
struggling
yeah.
in this world, right?
Yeah, yeah, but
And
that's
like
because
you
that's what
kind of
you wanna hear, right? It's not like that's because that's what you like,
but like the
and
characters like suffering, right? And like you
yeah, yeah.
kind of have to sit with the suffering. And if like they just like overcome the suffering because you want to get to the next plot point, like you're kind of missing the
My imagination is so strong, and maybe this could be an intricate detail of like myself versus other people. My imagination is so strong that they could just say like this guy suffered for X, Y, and Z and say it in like one or two sentences. My imagination will blow that out to years. And in my mind, I will make up scenes of them suffering. And like so those three sentences to me are years. Right? And so, like, that's the thing is, like, for me, I don't need it because I have a wild enough imagination
I mean,
that, like
writers debate this all the time, right? The concept of like show don't tell, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because telling is so much more like concise, right?
yeah,
If you say like he loved his wife, right?
yeah,
Great. Right now people
yeah,
can like put all their own like thoughts, but like it's not that interesting, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas if you actually show the character
yeah,
like actually loving their wife, right?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever, right? Like, you
But
know,
that's the people with not strong imaginations, but people with, like, overactive imaginations, you say this character loved his wife, and I just imagine the last 20 years of them growing old together.
uh, I mean,
Maybe that's it. Maybe because we all have different levels of imagination, right? And there are extremes where people have 0 imagination. They literally you tell them to picture an object in their head and they can't do it. And then there's like on the other side of people, there's people who could like explain it to you in detail down to the wrinkle if you told them to imagine an object. And so maybe
yeah.
that's it. Maybe that's the difference. It's like if you have like an overactive imagination versus a 0 imagination, like, you need that extra detail if you have 0 versus you literally need no details if you it I'll create a story on my own, just say a couple words, and I'll be off to the races in my own head, you know?
I mean, but then like is the value of the story then like if you say, "Hey, this whole book can be summed up in like this little meme," right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Like are you actually getting the
The
same
value of the
experience as the book?
well, because the value of the story is I could never have thought of anything like that, right?
Sure.
He by writing those words down, even if it's only 10 lines, and it's a set of words put together in a way that I never thought of before, you
Yeah.
just put a new thought in my head. Now
Yeah.
you just created whole new worlds in my head based off of it, right?
And it
That's the
is
power.
when you read a book, everybody gets something different out of it, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, "This was my favorite line." You're like, "I don't remember that line at all." Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you're like, "This was my favorite section." I was like, "What? That section? That
Yeah,
section was
yeah,
nothing."
exactly. Exactly.
So but I don't know, I just feel like when you read, like, there's a chance it's kinda like a weird FOMO. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I kinda wanna read everything because I wanna
yeah,
see, like,
yeah.
what am
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
only
no.
gonna do it once too. I don't like to reread books, you know?
So I will have to say, my favorite series from Brandon Sanderson is The Reckoners, but that is only because he purposely chose not to go into detail in those books. And he
They are
wrote like a
very
very just surface level thing. But I'm telling you, I think they're like, I think that's even more he wrote more imaginative in that book than anything else. Because like I said, I'm imagining like the whole world he builds with the city underwater and just the buildings are and the plants glowing. I was beautiful. I still dream about it to this day, you
Yeah,
know?
I can picture it right now.
Yeah,
I totally the second
it
book, right?
works stuff all through books all the time too. So
No, I
it's
mean,
like a
every
good,
time I read, like I said I read like 2 books a year, right?
yeah,
Every time I read, I'm like, "Man, I should read more." And
yeah,
then I just don't, right? Or I mean, I don't read books, right? I
yeah.
read like
I think
long form
I think we
essays
need
that
to commit. We need to commit to reading more books, man. Let's
yeah,
do let's do 5 books this year. Let's do 5 books. It's like
we can
it's double the amount. It's still the beginning of the year. I know. It would still be 1 book every 2 months. Like
yeah, yeah,
we
we
could do it.
could try to squeeze
All
that
right,
in.
we're
We have to
doing it.
choose the right things to start with, so
Yeah. Oh, the thing is me and you have such different books, though. I think it's going to be different books we read, but
yeah,
we have to commit to it unless we can find a common ground. Maybe we'll talk about it. No.
yeah. Okay, we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, this episode's got to 30 minutes now.
I hope
I
you've
think,
had some good food from the fridge, you know?
yeah.
That milk
No,
is
or
spoiling, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We should all get back to work. I don't know what we're doing here. We're gonna get fired just for talking about books for 30 minutes.
Listen, they'll never fire you if you do good enough work,
That's
no
true.
matter how much you slack off if you're doing the important stuff.
All right. Well, everybody get back to work.
Yeah.
And that was our containerized conversation. I'm Jesse Caffarelli.
I'm Josh Warhurst. Have a great night.